This week's show brought to you by SCAD, Scott Countyans Against Drugs. Welcome everybody to the Scott County Cardinals News Graphic Football Coaches Show Playoff Edition, Episode 12 and Episode 1 of the playoffs. We got through the bye week, got everybody rested up for what lies ahead, and what lies ahead is a trip up north to Campbell County this Friday night, about an hour north of, a little more than an hour north of Georgetown, as Scott County hits the road. First time they've been on the road in more than a decade for the first round of the playoffs. But it's something they've done before in the past with some success, so nobody's really overly concerned. And if you look at the first round opponent, Campbell County, probably Scott County will be favored in this game. Both teams have been ranked in the Associated Press top 10 for various points in the year. Scott County all year, in fact. They got as high as number 2, and they're right now at number 6, I believe, whereas Campbell County received votes this week. Their record is 6-4. Scott County goes into the game at 7-3, and kickoff is at 7:30 on Friday night. How did they get here? Scott County finished 3rd in a very tough 7th district. Losses to Henry Clay and Frederick Douglass put them kind of behind the 8 ball there. But they've bounced back the last 2 weeks with a district win over Paul Lawrence Dunbar and a non-district win over Pleasure Ridge Park to finish the season up strong. Campbell County, 2nd place in District 6. They've played a tough schedule too, like Scott County, but the difference is the Camels haven't really been able to win any of those games. They lost 28-0 last week to Covington Catholic, the top-ranked team in Class 5A. They also lost to a team from Cincinnati. Also lost to Highlands 34-7, and that's a team that Scott County handled pretty easily up in Fort Thomas, 28-7 early in the year. So if you look at common opponents and look at some of the trends that are going into this game, the Cardinals should have the upper hand. The past couple of games, it has been offense efficiency, offensive versatility. Scott County's been able to throw the ball. They've done some things, some trick plays, some reverses, some hook and lateral stuff. But they haven't forgotten who they are. Austin Barnett has been running the ball hard up the middle, and then you've had that east-west thing going with Bronson Brown, Montego Jones, Peyton Brown a little bit as well. And the defense, I mean, the defense has just really stepped it up. 6 sacks in each of those last 2 games. They all happened in the first half of those games. That big defensive line of Brian Hudson, Christian Carter, Alberto Campos, Zach Coleman, you name it. They've been able to get to the quarterback. And that pressure when they don't get to the quarterback has produced multiple interceptions in those games as the secondary has been ready to pounce. So things going well. Of course, special teams come into play at this time of year as well. Scott County loves to be able to block some kicks and make sure they have that kickoff game going. Early in the season, that was kind of a bugaboo for Scott County, but they may be able to prevent those long returns by the opposition, and hopefully that's the case as we move into the playoffs as well. Last week we mentioned was the bye week. Scott County had a chance to get prepared for things, get rested up. Coach McKee, as we get to his interview, tells us that the team is mostly ready to roll. Sam Daniels out for the season with a knee injury, but we might see Phil Garner back in the lineup depending on how far things go in the playoffs. So everything's all systems go as the bus ride north gets ready to kick off this playoff run into November on Friday night. We talked with Coach McKee. He's excited about the way the JV and freshman teams finished the season, excited about the schedule for next year. He wanted to talk about all kinds of things other than the playoffs. Let's see what Coach McKee had to say for his part of the show this week. Scott County's freshman and junior varsity teams are done with their successful seasons, but are crucial to varsity playoff preparation and long-term hopes.
Well, you know, really proud of our JV and freshmen for how they ended the year. You know, our JV finished 5-3, which we didn't like losing 3 games, but we took a couple guys off their roster that really were big-time difference makers for them early in the year. But they lost 21-14 at Mayo last Thursday. It was a great game. Came down to the end. Zane Patton played really well at quarterback. Michael McClay had a big touchdown pass. Our defense, Trenton Allen, I thought played really well on defense. And then our freshmen were able to win their last game, their championship game. We've been fortunate enough to win that conference 5 out of the last 8 years. They beat Madison Southern 36-22 in the championship game, finished up 9-1. So really proud of the way they finished. And our freshmen, of course, are done. And in our program, we really encourage guys guys to go out for other sports. So we've got about 6 of them went out for wrestling. I haven't seen a freshman basketball roster yet, but I know several of them went out for that. You know, and lots of them are involved in baseball. And you know how baseball might be the worst one of all now. I mean, they want to. There's fall baseball, winter baseball, spring baseball, summer baseball. But, you know, a lot of our guys are doing that. So, and then our JV guys that are out here, they really need to embrace the opportunity to, you know, we don't do a big, long, extended spring practice because of our support of spring sports. But this is like a spring practice for them, like a Jonathan Berry. Made me think of him. I saw his mom over there, standing over there. But, you know, he's a sophomore. He played a lot on the JV team. Whether it's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or 5 weeks, this is extra practice for him, and he needs to be preparing himself to get ready to play next August.
Campbell County is a new opponent for Scott County, and fans can expect many other new faces on the schedule in the future.
We've got 9 games for next year. We're real close to, we're about 90% to inking the 10th game, which would be with Cleveland St. Ignatius, which is a real strong, powerful school out of Cleveland. They would come here next year, and in 2020 we would go to Cleveland. And it'd be a great experience for our guys, you know, to go down there and play, and it'd be a great experience when they play St. Ignatius here. So we've got that going, and then into the playoffs, and I feel great about where we are. A lot of energy. We're as healthy as we can be. It looks like Garner's probably going to get back next week. He's been doing a lot of stuff this week. I don't think he'll be able to play. So looks like only Sam Daniel is going to be the only guy out that started, you know, was on the roster game 1 in the starting lineup.
It has been a while since SC went on the road this early in the playoffs, but the Cards have enjoyed plenty of success there in the past.
Oh, we love going on the road. It's just kind of a us versus them mentality. And I can remember in 2005, we'd had a real good team, but we had just had a crazy bugaboo for turning the ball over. You know, we'd fumbled a lot, we'd thrown some picks, so we ended up 5-5. And we were like an 8-2, 9-1 talent level. But I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the stats, but it was just a crazy amount of turnovers. And we were in the old field house. Somebody had made a big sign that said, "Playoffs are here, hold on to the ball." And they put it across the front of the field house. And if you remember Paul Warford, who played at Kentucky and played some in the NFL, he was on Madison Central's team that year. They were the 1 seed in their district. We were the 4, and we went down to Madison Central and beat them. We took a safety at the end of the game. We had a 3-point lead, about 20 seconds left. Didn't want to punt to Warford, didn't want to risk getting a punt block. So we did the old flip it back to the tailback, who went back in the end zone, which was Jimmy Warren. He ran around, and they were so confused at first that he was able to run enough to actually run out the back and end the game. And so that was a great win. Winning on the road in the playoffs is one of the very best things that you can feel and do. And so that's what we're preparing to do on Friday.
All right, that was Coach, and as always, it's his show, and he had plenty to regale us with as the Cards get ready for another playoff run. But the senior players, they're excited about this opportunity as well. As it's their time to shine. It's their turn to establish their legacy in the history of this program. And we know once this playoff run is over, it's going in a couple of different directions. It's not going to be one town, one team next year. So this is a last of its kind run for Glenn Covington and Adam Grieving and the other seniors. Let's see what Glenn and Adam had to say as they get ready for that playoff surge. The Cardinals are loose and relaxed heading into the postseason.
Yeah, everybody's, you know, ready to go. I feel ready to go. You know, that break, I needed that. We're all good now. Everybody's juiced up. You know, we got the music playing.
I'm really excited. I wish it was Friday, and I think the guys are ready. I think we're going to be ready to go make a run to the state championship.
Bye week got Scott County energized for the November run.
Get in a good frame of mind, just get everybody's head cleared and back on track and everybody be focused.
I think it just gives us the time to think about other things a little bit and get our mind off football. And then when we come back, we're ready to go and focus on the next task at hand.
Offense and defense have struck gold the past 2 games.
We expect to do everything we've been doing and then more, and then some more. So.
We're practicing harder, and Coach Monty's got on us, and we're rushing the passer. We got 13 sacks over the last 2 games. So.
Scott County looks to win the turnover battle on Friday night.
Our defense is definitely, especially our DBs, we expect to go and do a lot better than what we've been doing and produce a lot more for our defense. And then special teams, for me on punt return, I just, if we don't get it blocked, just return it, take it to the house.
The Cards prepared for this challenge with tough early season road games at Highlands and Moeller.
I think it does. Going to Moeller, that was a really tough environment, and then the weather playing at Moeller made it even tougher. So I think just that experience right there just helps us for the playoffs.